Good afternoon, everyone. We would like to welcome you all to our series on Black history, also sponsored by 400 Years in Americans History. This is a continued series, kind of a part two of our discussion. Tonight, we will be talking about the recently released movie Coming to America 2 and how that affects and intertwines with Black culture. As always, we would ask that you participate. If you have a question, we will have some time for those questions. And we are just so happy to have back with us Maya, who has already participated in one of our series. Myself, my name is Nicole Ayers, and this is hosted by Serving All Vessels Equally. And I think I have taken care of all housekeeping. We ask that you keep your Zoom on mute. And if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature. Okay, Maya, let me find you.
I'm here. It's hiding.
I
You
know
set
you
me up so I can share my screen and get this.
sure. Add pins, spotlight for okay, it's all you.
Hey guys, I am so excited to be here. Thank you for spending your Sunday with me, your Sunday evening. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I'm so happy. So I am going to get started, but I'm going to also do my own house rules, and this is just specifically for me. I love conversations. So if there's anything that is intriguing you and you want to speak up or speak out, please do so. I will stop. We will do it because I want to make it really into a discussion. I liked the last one. I thought we had some really great conversations and I want to keep that flowing. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to put my phone on mute because that's not cool. Okay, perfect. And then we are going to get this party started. Perfect. Okay, let me minimize that. Awesome. Okay. So how many actually I need to see? You can raise your hand or you can type. Oh no, you can't type in chat, but you can raise your hand if you guys have seen Coming to America 2, because it's important that we all see it because I am going to ruin it if you haven't already. Okay, good. So I got 2 people for sure who have seen the 3. Okay, it's climbing. But now what about Coming to America, the first one? That was like 30 years ago. Okay. It is, I still think, on Prime, so that's good. All right, good. So we've seen it. We've seen both of them. Perfect. Then I won't ruin anybody's Sunday night. All right, so our discussion will start off with being about culture. We'll talk a little bit about classism, which I'm hoping, I heard word on the street that you guys are really interested in that. So I'm hoping that we can really get into a discussion on that and you guys can educate me. And then we're also going to talk about fashion and then music and then open it up. So first off, I was very excited to find out that this film was filmed in the Tyler Perry studios. I thought that was amazing. And then I have some quotes here, and these were powerful to me. But what Rotimi said was, what made the first movie so impactful is that it's when you're able to uplift Black culture. We look like royalty. I think it's the first time we saw what Africa is and could be. And I thought that was really pushing and motivating. And then I really think the original film was the first time Americans got to see Black wealth. And with this, you get to see Black royalty and you get to see Black luxury. And so she's actually, both Rotimi and Dimples are both African, I'm gonna call them citizens. So they were also in some of the videos that I watched a lot of interviews on them to try to get some background before this. And they were really excited that they were able to represent Africa and be in this video, because over in Africa, they were saying how this was like, I mean, everywhere, but in Africa, Coming to America, the first one was really movement in Africa during that time. And then another one was just Coming to America allowed fans to see the continent in a visually appealing way that denoted wealth, health, and prosperity among people and the land. So I thought that was amazing. And then classism. So when I seen this word, I'm not going to deny this, people. I'm going to be honest with you. I had to look it up. I was like, what is it? And then also got schooled about 2 minutes ago from Nicole. So I hope if she feels so inclined to hop in, but so I had to define it. So the first thing I said was, what is classism? And what classism is a prejudice against or in favor of people belonging to a particular social class. And then I was like, well, I don't really understand. Let me break down social class too. So definition for social class is a division of a society based on social and economic status. And for sure, this movie showed that in a huge way. And I don't want to talk too much about it right now because I want us to have that conversation. So please, when we're talking or thinking, I definitely want you guys to think about how classism was portrayed in this movie. And then even go a step back with how it was portrayed in the original one too. So I'm cool with any of that, but in a moment, once this little slideshow is over, but please let's focus on this. So then just some other quotes, which was, I'm going to do the Rotimi, the second one, but there's a lot more that connects us than there is that divides us. And I liked that quote, specifically talking about classism. I feel like if we focus on the opposite of classism, right, then there will be a lot of things that connects us instead of dividing us, which ultimately classism is, right? So then as another fun fact, so while King Jaffe and his royal family represented the pinnacles of African wealth, Cleo McDowell, the enterprising single father of daughters Lisa and Patrice, showcased what success looks like for a Black middle-class family from Queens. And then we got my girl, Ruth E. Carter. So if we remember from our last session, she is the woman who won the Oscar for Afrofuturistic look in Black Panther. But most recently, she was just awarded a Walk of Fame star, and she's only the second costume designer to receive that honor. So again, breaking down boundaries, breaking down barriers. Very excited to learn about that. But that's my girl, Ruthie Carter. And then this was like a good quote that I liked from her. She said, I remember the fashion from the first movie, and I really wanted to honor that, but also bring some new fashion that I was seeing around the internet. So I like that because it made me think of just how powerful social media is right now, and how something that you post or a trend that you like can actually make its way to the movies. So I thought that was interesting as well. And then in this slide, I also say Ruth E. Carter's talent for combining contemporary silhouettes and traditional designs is best embodied by the fashion of Akeem's three daughters, who were modern day princesses with distinct looks. And I also watched a documentary, or not a documentary, but a little clip of an interview in Puma. You probably seen it. I'm sure you guys seen it if you were watching the movie. But for the oldest daughter, she wore a lot of Puma outfits. And one of the Puma outfits was that scene that she was fighting with her father. It actually had the Zamunda flag on it. And she asked Ruth E. Carter if she can design that into that costume. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And then music. Okay, so this one, you know what? I just realized that we didn't do chat, but if you want to mic up, I would love to hear it. But there was a lot of musicians in there, or artists that were in there. That was a surprise to me. I know that when I saw, well, I'm not gonna say who I saw, but when I saw a couple of people, I was like, okay. But so I guess this is the 2-second session. If anybody wants to mic up and tell me who they saw in the movie, I would be happy.
Tiana Taylor.
Okay. I done knocked my earring off. So excited. All right, Tiana Taylor was there. Yes. Who else? More?
Rick Ross.
Rick Ross was there. I didn't even write him down. I was thinking about people who just performed, but exactly, Rick Ross was hiding. Go on.
Romiti was there. Like he was there. He was in it.
He was definitely in there.
That's all I can remember.
So these are throwback people. Let me see, Nicole, do you remember?
Oh yeah. Oh, I definitely remember. Like, I think Salt and Pepper, that's her name.
Yes.
And then there's another group, En Vogue.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. If you could go the farthest back.
I mean, you said throwback. I mean, okay, yes, I'm an 80s baby, but goodness. I'm gonna say
I
Gladys Knight, y'all. Gladys was singing.
Oh, I don't remember her name. I knew who
Gladys,
she was, but I just
on the
didn't remember.
midnight train to Zamunda.
Zamunda. Jeez. Yes. Okay. Wow, you did good, Tree. This will be the part in the presentation where I will give you a star, but I don't have that, so we just gonna virtually do that, like a star right there. Yes, and then most importantly, this song, which I was like, all right, I'm not gonna lie to you. I love the movie, but I could have done without the song. But I'm gonna play it for like 30 seconds.
Oh, say, can you see I'm coming to America?
Okay, I kind of like it. It's a little bit of a
I think it would have been better if it was just Burna Boy, because Burna Boy is from Africa. So
I agree.
I like John Legend, but he's all right.
And it was like a techno for me, and I don't see John Legend as techno. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like when I first heard it, I was like, but then when I heard Burna Boy's, like you said, I was like, okay, this sounds better. I wish they would have put that in there. But yeah, okay, good. So there's that music.
Oh, say, can you see?
Finish this. Thank you. Now we got to do it like this. All right. So then this part is our discussion. So this is the part where I want us to talk. Like I want to know, and anything that I said, like we can pop back to any of those slides. Okay, Kimberly, what's up, girl? She said, I got the hands.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, I'm in a car, so sorry about that. Okay, so I kind of liked the movie. It was an okay movie. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, simply because it didn't really have much of a plot. It wasn't really character development. It was very linear. In terms of classism, though, my biggest thing was the way that they portrayed an African American dark-skinned Black woman as loud and obnoxious and ghetto compared to the princesses who are very like, it just feeds into the whole idea of just like Black people being ghetto, or more so Black Americans being ghetto, right? Because that stereotype does not apply to African people. It applies to Black Americans. So when you do that contrast in the movie where you see the mom is like, hey y'all, and then they completely from her cut to the queen or the wife, it's like a completely different vibe. So it was like they were trying to force that already unnecessary agenda that dark-skinned Black women are loud, obnoxious, annoying, all that extra stuff. And then towards the end, of course, with every movie, they did that same thing with the, oh yeah, the dark skin is going to be the best friend of the little queen or their light-skinned princess. And it's just, it was very cliche. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I thought that they did a really good job showcasing Africa's beauty and like the clothing and what they did with that. They did a lot of contrasting between African American clothing versus African clothing, which I like that part of it. But overall, I really wasn't rocking with how they kept portraying African Americans throughout the entire movie at all. I wasn't rocking with it at all.
No, I love that. First of all, thank you. So when you make it with the dark skin loud, well, first of all, let's just address Leslie, right? Because as an actress or a comedian, that's who she is. And people love it. Some people love it. But I definitely understand and see where you're coming from with that. Because even I said, man, I wish it could have been someone else besides Leslie, for the simple fact that her type of comedy, although it's good comedy, right? And for some people it is comical, right? But I definitely understand. The only thing now, wait, first, here's a question I have for you. Did you see the first one?
So the first one a long time ago. I didn't rewatch it in this case, but I do remember like the basic rundown of the first one.
And you know what I'm thinking about too? Because so the queen obviously is from Queens, right? And she has her sister. And when I think about it, her sister was also dark skinned, but she also portrayed that same role, like not necessarily loud, but she was like man crazy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, which I can take as derogatory. Yeah, I definitely, wow. Thank you. That was good. That was really good because they definitely did. And it is like, oh, the light skinned one is the one that has, which is, wait, Nicole, would that be a form of classism, right? Or is colorism separate from classism?
Colorism is its own ism. It is separate from classism. But I just want to jump in for two things. One, can you stop sharing the video so we can use the full screen?
Yes.
That's okay.
Sorry.
And that's okay. And two, let's also put in context the historical perspective. So if you're thinking about the first Coming to America, the first Coming to America was the whole cast was comedians.
Yep.
And it was just historical for comedians to have a platform to express what we would call clean comedy on a major screen. This one was still filled with comedians, but they put more pop culture kind of
Social
people
media,
in there. Social media people were in there. So it's still that level of historically bringing comedians to the big screen to do clean comedy. But when you're talking about racism, classism, and colorism, they're their own isms all to themselves.
Right. Yeah, because they did have Michael Blackson in there, which, well, Kimberly, what do you think about, did you see the Michael Blackson part?
Yeah, I did. I saw his little cameo I saw his little cameo.
What did you feel about that? Because I know that he also does that same kind of, well, I feel like his category is also similar to Leslie's.
So, okay. I used to watch Michael Blackson when I was younger. Right, but like I said, it's basic stereotypical comedy, right? But I feel like in the political climate that we're in right now with everything going on, is it necessary, right? You wanted to make a movie to kind of uplift Black culture, African culture, which you did a great job at, but did you have to bring down African American culture while doing that, right? Because I am, whatever, let's just go with African American for now, right? There was nothing in that movie that said, oh, that was me, except for the eldest princess, right? She probably was the closest to me, but she's African. I'm African American, right? Like, comedy is great, but I feel like pick the right time to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Black History Month was what, a month ago? Black Lives Matter was rampant last year and still is currently. Was this really smart to release a movie with this kind of very early 2010s stereotypical comedy? Okay, we don't have to be loud and obnoxious to be funny anymore. That's not a thing anymore. That's why Michael Blackson isn't all over everybody's social media anymore, because it's just not something that's necessary or needed.
Wow. So I am with you on that, and I could probably say I watched one or two, and I promise, Michaela, I'm coming to you. And feel free to jump in too if you have anything to say as well about this particular thing. Wow, I hear you. Wow, Kimberly, you are deep. I can't wait to see what you're about to do.
Yeah, I had the same viewpoint as Kimberly, because what's it called? I love Coming to America, and it's something like I've watched over and over again. And I feel like it would have had a better plot if it focused on the because in Coming to America, the first one, what made it different is that he wanted to explore the world instead of staying in Africa. What I think it should have did for Coming to 2, it should have been changing the narrative of always having to be a male heir. It should have been, she should have been taking over next to make it different.
I completely agree.
What's it called? The mother?
Yeah.
she had nothing to do with the first one. Like, I don't know. Like, I found it like just weird. Like, the fact that they were in the ghetto, that he was like not very educated in the beginning, having the Michael Black's character, because I've watched Little Man and him being in there too. I just like his point wasn't really necessary. I wish he was more like, because it was like, oh, we always start with the Black person being dumb and then working to being smart. Why can't we always start as smart and grow to him learning a different type of education? Because he was on the American education. Now we're going to do the African part of learning like the combat and stuff like that. I didn't really connect with it at all. And with the mom being loud, it was just very like Good Times type of turn into a movie. Like, I just didn't like it.
That is so true.
When you say Good Times, what
completely
you mean
true.
Good Times? Explain to me Good Times.
I mean, Good Times was a good show, but like,
yeah,
that
but
is
it was Black people
type
being
of
on
feel.
welfare, losing jobs.
That is very
like,
much
it was
true.
No, like, I just
So
didn't like it.
And so tell me this: you don't think, and I'm not you, but you don't think that there are Black people going through that right now?
Yeah,
Of
we
course.
are. It's just like that always being portrayed. It's just like it gets annoying. Cause like in
Why
every
does that have
Black
to be our
movie,
stereotype? Why does it have
Yeah.
to be our basis?
the
Basically?
only other movie that's been recent that changed it was Black Panther. Literally,
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I'd actually like to chime in on what Michaela and Adriana were saying, because it is a very good point, right? When I speak, as soon as I open my mouth, there's the eyes wide open, big giant reaction. You're so articulate.
Yes.
Because they initially think this is how she's supposed to sound, this is how she's supposed to think, this is how she's supposed to act. And when I don't apply to those, when I don't fit in with those standards, it's a whole different setback. It's whoa. Okay, let's accommodate this, right? So it's like these movies constantly portraying this over and over and over and over and over again. The stereotype is still there. It's still rampant. So don't feed into it.
Right. And if I can just say, just plugging you guys in, right? That articulate thing, I get that all the time. And so I know how you feel. And a lot of things that I do is I just say, what do you mean? Why wouldn't I talk like this? You know what I'm saying? Because you have to, people have to see more of us and understand that we're not that stereotype. So I completely understand why you wouldn't want that stereotype shown in movies, specifically movies that are showing Black culture. I get that. I completely agree. You guys are
Another thing.
I-
Oh, so you want to go?
Okay, yeah. I also thought this movie had like the opportunity to like bring like Black people together as one, both like the African American community and Africans together, and be like, oh, welcome home type of movie. But it kind of like separated the two, kind of like, oh, we're like it feeds into the idea of like, oh, we're up here as like we're here and then they're down there type of thing. Like that's already an issue that we see, where it's divide within our own race, and it should have been a more of a coming together type thing.
Because you even see, like what Cindy said, you even see that when the mother and the son are first introduced, you see like the looks of the queen and the sisters looking at them like, ew, they're trash, this and that, like you see in the face. Even when she borrowed the dress, when she looked at her, she was like disgusted, like, why does she have my clothes on? This is like, I just didn't like that.
And it kind of tried to make Leslie kind of seem money hungry. Like that should have been portrayed at all.
No, literally. As soon as he dropped
like,
the case of money, it was just like, oh shoot, her eyes went big and it was like a bobblehead.
If anything, it should have been like, she's a strong, independent Black woman for raising her kid by herself for all those years. Not like, oh, okay, she's struggling to raise her kid, but then this rich, wealthy man drops into her life type of thing. Like, I didn't like that either.
And another thing, I didn't like how he basically used her as a carrier, basically. Like they only used her to have the kid, and how mysteriously he showed up. I'm like, was she even in the first movie?
No,
she wasn't even in the first movie. They made a whole little clip that didn't even happen. And like, I was just like, it made no sense. I really wanted the eldest daughter, the princess, to become the next heir and all of that. I really wanted
she
to.
is, right?
She is. She's going to become.
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
so the
she is.
so the
And he
end
was-
of it, yeah.
Yeah, I
The end
remember.
of it is what happens. So he becomes the ambassador and she becomes the queen. And she doesn't have to marry off because which I was thankful. I definitely hear you. I was thankful for that too. Because when he was, I think when they were at the dinner table and she got up, or there was one fight, I can't remember exactly, but when he was like, that's just the way it has been, I was like, what? This is you. You're supposed to be the one to change it. But again, you have to go through that process.
His wife said was like, you're not like this. You're acting like your father. You having that old idealistic man.
So let me just jump in here and just bring the conversation somewhere else. So I hear a lot of comment about what you thought was not portrayed in a good way. I think it's important for us to know in our consciousness that your generation has lived in an atmosphere of you have to be woke. You're woke about everything. You guys came out with your eyes open and ready to take on the world. That is very subjected to your generation. But you also have to understand all the stakeholders and all the players in this video, in this movie. Coming to America, the first one, is my very favorite movie in the entire world. When I'm mad, sad, happy, I put that on and it's a mood even. I still laugh at the commentary now. When I watched the second one, I did not have the natural reaction that you had. I'm not gonna lie. I saw it as a comedy. I took it for what it was. I didn't analyze it to the extent that you guys are analyzing it. I think it is absolutely wonderful that you have the ability and can do that. But just looking at it on a surface, I felt that, first of all, the first one was set in the United States. The first one was in the United States. The second one was in Africa. I thought that was important because, as all of you have said, we always see hungry babies. We always see war. We always see poverty when it comes to the continent of Africa. And I emphasize the continent, when it's not a state. It is a continent made up of many different countries. And so that made me proud when I saw the lavishness, the beauty of Zamunda. That made me proud. Let's compare other movies that have come to the American mainstream that was depicted in Africa. Hotel Rwanda. We was all dying and killing each other.
That is so true.
Okay, so I'm not telling you to dismiss your feelings. I'm not. But let's look at it in a broader picture. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't.
No, it was not.
It had some things that we could take out from it that really elevated the community and elevated who we are. One more thing, I see you, Cindy. One more thing I want us to bring to the conversation is, I think I read an article that it is the highest gross streaming movie ever. Just like the Black Panther broke all those records, Coming to America 2 has broke its own records. And I bring that to the conversation and I bring it to your consciousness to tell you, to remind you of the power of the American dollar, African American dollar, I should say, and the power that you have to like or dislike something. We are a powerful people. We don't always tap into that power because we're not always aware of it. But for us to make record breaking history of watching it being the highest streamed movie, that is important. Now, you cannot like it. You cannot like Leslie. You cannot like Michael Blackson. The one person that bothered me the most through the entire movie was Wesley Snipes. I wanted to
I enjoyed him.
Really?
Bon foolery. That man and that dancing and that.
It wasn't dancing for me. I liked it.
But I understand that was, comedy, and he's not a comedian. But I understand that was comedy, and that was a part of the whole. But I could have lived without him and all that dancing, because it goes back to a stereotype. Why are we always dancing? Why are we always dancing? We ain't always.
It's in our culture.
All Black people don't have rhythm. Why are we always dancing? Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I think, Cindy, I saw your hand.
I agree. I feel like I'm like in the middle with the movie. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like as a Black person watching the movie, I was like, yeah, I love it. It was funny. Like I'm gonna be like Leslie, like, yeah, was it a little too much, and did it portray like the wrong kind of stereotype? Yeah, kind of. But I'm just like, there are people in the community who like that, but they're being unapologetically Black and proud. Like, I have my aunt is a single mother, and she's loud. She's dark skinned, but that's her, and she does it unapologetically. I'm just like, as a Black person watching it, I was just like, I could see like different people throughout the movie, like within my own community. But like when a white person watches that, I'm just like, what kind of ideas are they getting from this type of thing?
That's valid. I'm gonna let Kimberly go, and I'm gonna let Lisette go. So I'm gonna let Kimberly go first, but I got stuff too. Go ahead.
All right. If we're gonna highlight the positives of the movie, I really like how they portrayed the African princesses to be very strong, powerful, independent. I really like that they did that. Kind of as if the men had to kind of lean on them a little bit. That was a little nice for a change to see them kind of. It's like a low-key matriarch in a sense.
Yeah.
I do like the accuracy of the clothing that they put on the African people and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, for me personally, just to give context on my opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of comedy movies in general, only because 95% of the time they lack storyline. I feel like this movie just lacks storyline. 1 second the sister hated the brother, the next second he cuts the whiskers off of a tiger and all of a sudden they're best friends. Like, it was a span of a week, right? So all of that happened in a week. All of that just randomly. I mean, for sake of comedy, I guess whatever, but for me it's like there's no development. Every character was basically linear. There was no dynamics. It was just there. But yeah, I mean, it's a movie. Congratulations on its success.
Right. I mean, I think it's good. I think it's good too to have that kind of a thing that you want, that you get out of your movies, what you like about your movies and what you don't like. I think that's smart. This movie definitely, from the interviews, because I've been watching a lot of like Arsenio Hall interviews during this time, Eddie Murphy. So just hearing from them, they knew it wasn't going to be like the first one. But they just wanted like they thought this was the perfect time to do it, just to bring in exactly what Nicole was saying, because these comedians are legends. And like specifically Wesley Snipes, I mean, these people are in their 60s right now and they look really good, and they've been in the
literally they've been in the first one, now the second one's amazing,
and that's 30 years ago. Like, and then even too with like the barbershop, like all that makeup, that's 6 hours that they're doing just sitting in a chair getting all that makeup on. So like it was very intense, and they did that again within a 30-year gap. So I know it wasn't, I knew and I heard the negativity, because everything Kimberly you said, you even pointed out things that I wasn't even thinking about, really all of you. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate Nicole for pointing it out, because they are legends. And when it comes to legends, it's like, when you think about legends too, it's like, okay, so 30 years ago was their hype, right? That's when they were brand new. That's when they were on the top. And at the top of their game, the kind of things that they were saying in this movie is kind of their form of comedy at that time, right? And obviously now with the woke generation, which we're very proud of. I love the speaking out. I love Kimberly. How old are you?
I'm 19.
That is a great age to be that educated on your history and being and that educated in that that just let me say look, I'm gonna say articulate, okay? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're good.
But no, but it's empowering, right? It's empowering to hear that, like, you're 10 years younger than me. So when I get to a certain age, I know that you're going to take it off, right? Like I can trust in you because you're not going to allow a little Black girl that's dark skinned to feel the way that you felt. You're going to be the part of the change, and that's important. And so thank you for calling out all those negatives, right? Because it's important. And then Nicole, also with you, very important, all those positives, because there was a lot. But okay, let's go, girl.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me on this platform to even discuss this. I myself, I only saw the first Coming to America. I didn't see the second one. However, I can kind of get a gist of what everyone's saying to kind of like put a picture of what the movie was and how it went in my head. From what I heard, I guess from Nicole and both Kim, both pointing out the positives and the negatives. But one thing in particular that stuck out to me the most and resonated was when Nicole mentioned that, you know, during that time, for her, or probably many others like herself, who watched the movie and saw the movie for what it was, just a comedy, that it was like a feel-good moment, that it was kind of like an escape from the tragedies or the adversities that we deal with already within our reality. I don't want to play like devil's advocate, so to speak, but I feel like I need to speak on it, is that even though, yeah, it's a comedy and it's a feel good and it's an escape, it's just that, an escape. Because at the end of the day, we have to face the real truth for what it is. Wow. This is how Hollywood views Black people. Now, of course, they allow Black people to make this movie, and they allow Black people to, put their talent onto screen. However, it's still, for me, it's still a case of, how do I say it without coming off too, I don't want to be too politically correct, but I don't want to be too, okay, so you know the term blackface, back in the day where a lot of Black characters were portrayed by whites dressed in blackface.
Yes.
I feel that in a sense, in an essence, from what Kimberly pointed out about the negatives of the movie, for the typical viewer, the typical consumer, they're not going to view that. And I think that's because they want to keep the narrative going. Of our generation of millennials and the Gen Zers, or Gen Z, excuse me, they mostly grow up on media. Media teaches them, social media teaches them, and reality sets in, and they move about in the world with such. They're thinking that, oh, well, even though it's not being pointed out, it's still being submerged into our subconscious. So consciously, we're looking at something that's right in our faces, funny, but subconsciously, the negative narratives are still being embedded in us, and that's what still drives the self-hate. That's what still drives the colorism. That's what still drives the classism, because it's subjected into our subconscious. So we don't consciously know that this is why our people are still where they are, because this is what Hollywood sees us as. Someone mentioned that when white people, they want to know like what ideas white people have when they watch this. The idea is just that we're just putting on a show. We're not really fighting to change the minds of our people so that way we can come out of the struggle. We are literally buying into the struggle by watching Black people portray what they portray. And yes, it's based on health and wealth and all those things, but let's talk about it. These are Africans coming to America, right? They're not dealing with the issues that Black Americans are dealing with daily. And they're portraying Black Americans as such. Whereas in Africa, they still have their wealth, they still have their health, they still have all these things. But what about what's really going on right here, right now? And that's the part that it was portrayed in the background that no one wants to accept and face. Everyone wants to be entertained. The word entertain, to enter, entertain, and meant is a Latin word for mind. Tain is to gain control, and to enter. Entertainment means to enter your mind and control it. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Okay. Can I do Kimberly first and then you, Cindy? Okay.
You made point about
your mic.
How
Wait, Kimberly,
We can't hear you.
It's the
Kim, your mic is going out.
Kim, we can't hear you, darling. We can't hear you. Let's
Kim,
Cindy go and we'll come back to you. Let's Cindy go.
I was gonna say I agree, like the way that like Black women are portrayed in the media, like we
Okay.
need
Yeah,
like
you
it
made a
completely
lovely
needs to like
point about.
Mute her for just a moment. Can you mute her,
Can you,
Nicole?
She's
can you
muted.
hear me?
muted.
Yeah.
She's muted. I don't know where the feedback is
Hold on.
coming
Hold on.
from.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay, seems gone now.
Okay. I was like, we like the way that Black women are portrayed in the media needs to do like a complete 180 because it's like if you really look at Black women, we're the ones out here doing it all. Like we literally saved the whole election this year. Like Black women are doing it all. Like we're popping. Like we're what's up right now. And it's just like the comedy that is like made off our backs is not even funny anymore. Like it's more damaging than it is funny. Like we need to like move away from like that Rafusha and Medea type comedy because it's like it's not funny for a Black man to be dressing up as a Black woman. Like it's funny, but if you really think about it, it's a man dressing up as a Black woman and kind of degrading us. Like it's not funny. Like those stereotypes need to like die down and they need to put us in more positions of power because that's what we've been doing.
Well, y'all know I
now
always
I
tell
still might
y'all.
I love Mama Tia.
Look, well, you know I do too now. But I always tell y'all that who run the world. People say girls. I say no. Black women run the world. Okay. But let me just put a fork in that and let you know that even though this was what it is and what it was, there are a lot of Black people making waves in Hollywood. When we started this conversation, Maya said something about it was filmed not in California. It was filmed in Atlanta in the Tyler Perry Studios. Huge. You can disagree with Medea. You cannot like it. You could think it's blackface 2021. But at the end of the day, that man owns a multi-million-dollar company on acres of land. That is an accomplishment for us all. And when I think of people like, oh my God, her name is Regina King, who is an actress, but she's also a director. And she makes conscious movies. This is not a conscious movie. It's not. You can make it, you can say what you want. It's not a conscious movie. It has some areas that are questionable to many people, but it's not a conscious movie. But we do have people who are branching out to that consciousness. I do think that when they made this movie, they made it for a certain age group of people. They didn't make it for all of us. They made it for a certain age group of people. And to that age group, this movie means something different to maybe a millennial or someone that is younger because they see as you grow, as you develop, you see the world differently and your perspective of things are much different. But I have to applaud those actors, those actresses, those costume designers, all those people that poured into this. Let us not forget that Eddie Murphy was the executive producer. That means he paid the money to get the project running. So when we talk about Hollywood and how Hollywood degrades us, that is very true. That is historically true. But people are making Olympics movements to get us from that. And if we know our history, we don't never get anywhere easy. We don't never go anywhere easy. We have bumps and bruises, hills and valleys. That's just who we are as a people. I appreciate the conversation today because I think it's enlightening and it gives me energy. It is an electric conversation that needs to be had, but we also need to be proud of this piece of work because this didn't happen. Somebody woke up. Eddie Murphy didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm bored. Let me do this movie. Yep. He had to go through bumps and bruises to even get this movie written and then to get actors and all this stuff. The reason why I said Wesley Snipes bothered my spirit was because it reminded me of blackface. It reminded me of blackface. That's why it bothered my spirit, but I left it there. And I think that when you guys go into your careers and stuff, the consciousness that you have on today, hopefully you can bring that into whatever industry you plan on working and living in so that our narrative does change. But let's not only blame Hollywood for the narrative. Are we our brother's keeper? And are we accountable for the things that we say and we do? Do we treat each other different based on our skin color? Do we say derogatory things based on where people live? Yes, we do. So you want to be conscious, but make sure your consciousness is awoke enough that it also starts with you. Yes, Cindy.
A positive thing I would like to add is like in the 90s, early 2000s, we were growing up with shows like Martin and Moesha that portrayed like all different colors of Black, like, and it was really like a good thing to see like representation on TV of us. But then I felt like there was a shift where it's like only light-skinned actors are getting portrayed in these big films and movies. Like, not to throw shade on Zendaya, like she's a great actor, but it's like every single movie, the pretty girl is Zendaya. That's all we seeing. Zendaya. And I'm just like, where was all that 90s Black love? And so kind of watching Coming to America too, it's like, oh yeah, it's still there. We're still being able to be portrayed.
Okay, Kimberly and then Michaela. Kimberly,
sorry. Yeah. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, you sound perfect.
Awesome. I'm in a car. Sorry about that. So I personally have to disagree with Miss Nikki. I believe that every single movie is conscious. And I've learned that recently watching a lot of different movies such as Inception, kind of those sci-fi movies that really pick and grab at your brain. It really makes you look at everything differently. You are what you see. Growing up, I've had this conversation with Michaela and Adriana a couple days ago. I consider myself Haitian American, not African American, simply because I grew up with Haitian culture, not American culture, right? So growing up, watching Martin and all this stuff, Tyler Perry and all these kind of Black crime TV, etc. Even sometimes movies like Coming to America. To see that and to say, this is who we are. Okay, let's go then. And growing up and trying to pull away from that rhetoric that has been like beaming in my brain since I was conceived. It's insane. I'm currently, I was just in Miami, right? And first time ever in Florida, I see a whole bunch of Black people driving the nicest cars, wearing the nicest clothes. And that, I did not even know that was a thing. It was the biggest culture shock I've ever had in my life. I'm looking around, I'm like, whoa, why isn't that portrayed? Instead, right, we get rappers and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not that they're terrible, but that's all that is portrayed. You know, it's just tiring. And for me, having to unlearn that, it sucks. And I love Tyler Perry. He has done so much for the Black community behind the scenes, like insane. But it's like, did you really have to make your money by, enforcing the same stereotypes that are kind of putting us in this in the first place? Did you? But granted, it's a new time. It's a new day. I do feel like our generation specifically is at a turning point. So everything's changing now. But it is what it is, I suppose.
Whew. Child, I said I wanted to have a discussion, but I guess. So here I am. I'm here. Hold on. Let me tell my husband to. Can you sign off? Because I hate hearing my voice. But yeah, so I think one of the biggest things is like, I'm on a crossroad with that because I agree to an extent with both of you. With Tyler Perry specifically, I am here with you because on one end, I'm like, did we have to be this grandma, right? Did we have to be a 6 feet tall man wearing grandma clothes, right? But then I think about our culture, right? And I think about the grandmas of our culture, and I think about the fact that, and I'm an African American. Like I came here Like my family's history is here. So I think about grandmothers, and in the Black culture, a grandmother is the matriarch for the most part. She is the one that is putting the family exactly where they need to be, or there for the family no matter what. So when I think about how and why he did it, because I think also too, if you listen to Tyler Perry's videos, you can kind of see that his story and for why he did it, and his closeness with his spirituality with God, it makes you understand it. What I will say is I won't tell you it verbatim because I don't know it, but I can tell you that when I hear him speak, I'm moved. I think he had a mission, and I hear you, Kimberly, 1,000% with but you had to dress up like somebody's grandma, but unfortunately that's what sold out for church going Black people theaters. And then from there, going to those plays were quick, like they were amazing. Just how he started, and also his story, right? Like where he started from, right? So I hear you. It's unfortunate. What can I say? We're all going to, I don't want to say we're all going to, because I hope and I believe that, Kimberly, you won't, but I know that I have been in situations myself in my personal life where I had to go through hurdles. And for Tyler Perry, I think that was a hurdle that he had to go through. But I hear you. Like, I know even the Big Mom, I think it was Cindy who said it, like the Big Mama's house with Martin, like they all did it, right? I think it was how it makes me sad when I have to say it, but it is how, unfortunately for them, they got famous. Although Martin, I'm going to say Martin Luther King, Martin didn't. That Big Mama stuff happened. Well, I think you know what it was, when he was trying to go mainstream, right? Because he started off with what, Def Comedy Jam? And
he
then
started with Def Comedy, and then when he tried to do a mainstream, he did do Big Mama and movies like that and stuff like that. Yeah.
And even the fact that we're saying, even as I'm talking right now, and I'm like, he did mainstream and he had to dress up as a woman, like he had to dress up as a Big Mama to go to mainstream, because that's what other people would want to see and believe is our stereotype, right? But I know. Valid points, Kimberly. Valid points. Nicole, Cindy, Dree, you guys. All right. Michaela, I know you had something to say, and I don't want
I also wanted to say that, like, I was just saying that I disagree with Miss Nikki, because, like, even with watching, because when I was growing up, my mom put me on a lot of, like, older cartoons and stuff like that, so I watched, like, the black and white Betty Boo and all that. And even watching it now, to the fact that they had to put in beginning with the whole blackface and showing how, and saying that even though during that time that was okay, it's not okay now. It just shows how everything has an underlying in it. And like, why does we always have to show like the mammy vibe to get mainstream? Even though we might see it as the grandma that cooks on it, to me, I see it as like mammy. Like, even to the fact that we had to take Aunt Jemima off the thing, off the syrup. That was because it down the line, that was mammy.
Wow.
So,
and what I will say is, I'm sorry, I know Nicole, you're gonna say, but what I would say is this, because I'm looking at everybody's mic go on and off, so I don't interrupt anybody. I've seen it, but what I would say is this, though, seriously, that is power. Kimberly, the fact that you feel that way, Michaela, the fact that you feel that way, Cindy, the way that you feel that way, that means that what my generation or the generations before me have thought that it was okay or was silent about because they were fighting other issues. And this is what I will just say too, because they were fighting other issues, they have let certain things slide. It is empowering to know that y'all will not. And so the way that you feel about that, absolutely, because it's more than one of you, which means that if you guys want to petition and fight for that not to happen, I'm for it. I'm with you, because I think that you make valid points, and I absolutely could see your point of view. So do it. Who's gonna start it up? Kimberly, and then Michaela comes in from the left, and then we got Cindy from the right. And
all right. A revolution has been started, and it will be televised. No, okay, so we're at our end point. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not that you agree or you disagree with me. It is that you have a mind of your own, and guess what?
Wow.
It works.
Wow.
You have a mind of your own, and guess what? It works. We don't do these things to tell you how to think. We do these things to start conversation, because through conversation, we can grow together. So I don't want you to think like me. I don't want you to be like me. My experiences are my experiences. I'm a lot older than everyone else, but my experiences are my experiences. I can only share my experiences with you and hope that you can take what I teach you and take it to another level. And so I hope you heard me, because I heard each and every one of you. I respect each and every one of you and everything that you brought to the table. I love this discussion. This made me, like I said before, energized and ready to go. But I do want to just leave this out and put this out in the world. We are a proud people. We are a people of, if you know our history, we are a singing people. We are a people that family is important culturally to us. And these are the principles and others that we need not to let go of, irregardless of what the platform is. And with all the bad and with all the good, this movie is now out in the world for the world to see and for the world to have a perspective of. And we're going to have to continue to have these conversations. We're going to have to continue to deal with these underlying tones that were throughout this movie, both good and bad. But I challenge you to be prepared for the conversation. Don't back away from the conversation. Be prepared for the conversation. But as you go forward with love, go forward with respect, and go forward with an open mind, that a 90-year-old grandmother, great grandmother, can teach you something, but a 12-year-old child can also teach you something, because those perspectives are important and those perspectives matter. Until next time, ta-ta. Bye, everybody, and thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.